Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Donald D. Toldson Sr. I am with Toastmasters International, District 84. I am the Division E Director as well as international speaker and author. And I am here today to speak life into you guys. I know right now that you guys have your own dreams and goals and ideas, but my goal is to help elevate you guys and to raise the bar in your thinking and to help you to go to the next level.
Without any further ado, Toldson.
Thank you, sir. Thank you guys for being here this Sunday afternoon. You know, I had already prepared a presentation, but one of the things that I learned about presenting is that you never know what and who are going to be in the room, what audience. But one of the things that I did learn as a public speaker is that before you enter into any room, there's always going to be one thing that is going to proceed before you go into any room. And that one thing that will precede you before you go into any room is your energy. Now, let me tell you about your energy. One of the things that your energy will do, it will either attract people to you, right? Or your energy, it will repel people from you. So regardless of what stage that you may take for those that are going to be taking part in the speech presentation, it doesn't matter if you're going to be speaking in front of your peers. It doesn't matter if you're going to be speaking in front of your class. It doesn't matter if you're going to be speaking on a stage. And some of you will, some of you will advance. For you, this is only the start. This is only the beginning. And I'm expecting all of you, not some of you, I'm expecting all of you to advance in whatever your respective topics, your dreams or your goals may be. Now, I have trained with Mr. Les Brown. I'm sure most of you guys have probably heard of him. I've trained with Dr. Cheryl Woods. You know, I've trained with some of the top speakers, and some of the things that I have learned from them is that our energy signal, those things, it's gonna draw people to us. And some of you here already have that energy. I know I came in, I met Mr. Javon. Am I saying your name right, Javon? Yes. And I could immediately feel the energy that he was putting off because by the people he was connecting with. And I had to ask, are you guys friends? Because I could feel the energy going on between, the people that came into the room. And one of the things that I wanted to commend all of you on is your appearance. There's a quote that says, you don't get in life what you want. You get in life who you are. So people are going to judge you based on your appearance. The first thing that they see are they're either going to say, yeah, I want to be associated with this young man. Or they're going to say, no, he looks like he could, and I hate when people, and hate is a harsh word. I dislike when people begin to prejudge before they even get a chance to meet someone. But when I came in, you guys all made me feel very welcome. I spoke to some of you, and I am very, very pleased. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with my presentation. Hopefully I don't need my notes. 45 minutes to an hour is going to come quick, but hopefully I can pour it into you all. It was the late Dr. Miles Monroe. He was the founder of Bahamas Faith Ministries. He stated that the greatest tragedy in life, he said that it is not death, but he said that the greatest tragedy in life is living a life without purpose. And who in here can tell me what purpose actually means? Tell me what purpose is. Yes.
Like what you're contributing to society and the world.
Exactly. Who else can tell me what purpose means?
Like your requirement to do something.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. He said, the greatest tragedy in life, it is not death, but it is living a life without purpose. Now, I'm going to go a little scripture on you, not too much, but, the Bible says that a man without a vision shall perish. So for each of you, your purpose is what's going to give you that reason why I should get up in the morning. Your purpose is going to be, it's going to drive you into, you know what, if I don't get paid for something, you know, it's what I am going to do. It's that one thing that's inside of me that's going to drive me forward. Some of us, we call it passion, but that passion is purpose. And I tell people there's 4 things that I love to see people do, and that is to have passion, purpose, possibilities. Let me see, there's passion, purpose, possibilities. There's one more that's not going to come to my mind right now because I'm thinking about it. But those are the things that's going to be able to drive you toward your dream and your goal. Now, I want to take this opportunity also to thank Brother Alexander Smith Johnson. I hope I said your name right. That's a lot of words. For inviting me here today, and also to the staff of the young men of distinction, the staff and the volunteers who have poured themselves into you guys. And the reason that they're pouring themselves into you guys because they see your future. You know, there's a saying that Mr. Les Brown says that you can't see the picture when you're inside of the frame. You cannot see the picture when you're inside of the frame. So if you know how a picture look, and I'm sure all of you do, if you can just picture yourself being on the inside, there's others that are standing on the inside looking at you. They can see what you cannot see. And sometimes you have to believe in someone else's vision of you until you can see it for yourself. You have to see it. You know, there are so many things going on out in the streets and so many things that you could be doing even this evening. But it's good that each and every one of you made it a conscious decision to be here this evening. And now I'm gonna just grab some notes because I want to make sure that I stay on point. And you know, one of the reasons that I am here is because I want to be able to speak life, and I want to be able to encourage each and every one of you young men because, you know, like I said earlier, there are so many other things that you could be doing right now, but you made it a conscious decision to be here today. But I also want to speak to our contestants. How many of our contestants do we have here today? Raise your hand. Okay, we have our contestants here. Now, what I wanted to say to each and every one of you, right? I want to say that I'm proud of you. I want to say that I am proud of you. And the reason that I am so proud, actually I'm proud of all of you, but I want to particularly speak to our contestants because what they did was so vital. What they did was so important. What they did was that they came to the front of the room and they stood tall and they said, yes, I can. You said, yes, I can. Yes, I can learn. Yes, I can speak. You stood tall and said, yes, I can write. And you stood tall and you said, yes, I can lead. And I'm not just talking about our contestants, I'm talking about every single one of you that's in this room right now. And what I love about it, each and every one of you, is that you said that I will not be defined by where I came from. Each of you in your own hearts, you said that I will not be defined by where I came from. But you said that, but I will be defined by where I want to go. I will be defined by the ambitions that I want to achieve and the dreams that I want to fulfill. See, no one can judge you. You can only judge yourself because there are so many things. You know, I was thinking about it as I was preparing for this presentation because what I do is I pour my heart into it. And there's going to be distractions. There's going to be so many things that's going to come and tell you, no, you know what? You're wasting your time. You don't want to be there. You don't want to do this. But as I was preparing for this presentation, let me share with you some of the things that I have been going through as I prepare to pour my heart into you, you know, to not you, but into the young men of this distinction. As I was preparing for this presentation to pour into you, so many things was going on in my life. I have a son, my oldest son. He's out in the streets. He's on drugs. He's using drugs. Some of you might have heard of Molly. He's using alcohol. He's been diagnosed as a schizophrenic. Now, just picture me, I'm preparing to go into a room and speak to a group of young men when I'm feeling failure within my own self. Now, it's hard when you try to focus when your own sons and those within your community are going through trials and situations. I've talked to my son. I told him, I said, drugs is not the answer, son. I've talked to him. I said, you're on a spiral down. I said, son, alcohol is not the answer. I said, son, I know you've been diagnosed with a mental disease called schizophrenia, but I said, that's not the answer. No one can define you by where you are right now. Only you can define where you want to go. So right now, my son, he's homeless, living on the street somewhere. He's homeless by choice. And I said, how do I go and I speak to these young men knowing what I'm personally going through? It's because I believe in each and every one of you. I believe in the dreams that you have. Even when you cannot see it for yourself, I believe it. And the reason that I believe it is because you are standing here right now. You're sitting here right now and you're doing something active and proactive with your life that's going to take you to the next level. Yeah, my son, I pray for him. I get up every morning and I pray for him. Same way, I'm sure Brother Alexander and these other staff members, they pray for each and every one of you that are in this room, and even for those that are even not here. But we have to watch over our young men. And I want to share something very strong, because even though you can't see it, but there's a gift on the inside of each and every one of you. There's a gift. And it's a gift, and I thank for the young men of distinction because they recognize this gift. That gift, it must be nurtured. Because when that gift is nurtured, what happens is that it opens up doors to bring life to our communities. Those gifts that's on the inside of every one of you, it opens up doors, and when it is cultivated, you create opportunities that will bring nations and countries together. Even if you cannot see it right now, you will be bringing nations and countries together. It starts right here. It starts right here because someone believed in every single one of you. They believed in your dreams. They believed in your goals, and you have to see it for yourself. And I do understand that if you look around, there's a reason why every single one of you are here right now. You're here because you understand the value and you understand the importance of your communication and your leadership skills. You understand that importance. Now, you may ask yourself, why is it so important for me to have dreams and goals and to know about to elevate my skills, my leadership skills? Here's why. Because someday, you young men are going to stand in front of a group of your peers. And you're going to speak on a subject or a topic that might be very sensitive. And when you speak on that topic, yes, people are going to be watching you. They're going to be judging you. But when you speak on that certain topic, what's going to happen is that based on your response, you're going to tell the world who you are. You might not know it yet, but based on your answers, based on your thought processes, based on the way that you think, you will tell the world who you are. And I can see right now, based on what I'm seeing, is going to be a very great response because your training, your upbringing, it starts here right now. It starts here right now. So I'm very proud of every single one of you. Now here's the trick. Is that when you begin to share with others about the things that you want to do. You have to be careful who you tell your dreams and your goals to, because sometimes they're going to laugh at you, because they're not going to be able to see what you see. They're not going to be able to have the vision that you have. Why? Because that vision, it wasn't given to them. So we have to know what we want to be and what we want to do. Let me share a story with you. And then I'm going to ask each of you, what do you plan to be when you, as you become men? A few years ago, I shared my dreams and my goals with someone that I thought to be a trusted friend. And when I told them what I wanted to be, I told them I wanted to start my own business. I want to write books. I want to travel the world and speak. And do you know what they did? Who can guess what they started doing? Exactly. They started laughing. And he said, "What? Don, you're gonna do what? You're gonna change the world?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" He said, "You're from a small town in Louisiana. No one even know the name of it. Some town called Tallulah." Some of them have problems saying it. It's up in the northeast corner of Louisiana. It's a small farming town. And they said, "You're from that small town and you're gonna change the world." I said, "Yeah, why not?" And what I realized is that when they started laughing, here's what I realized: that they were not laughing at me, right? But they were laughing at the dreams. They were laughing at the goals. They were laughing at the vision. They were laughing at everything that they wanted to be. And they were laughing because I represented the dreams, the goal, and the visions that they had rejected. See, they weren't laughing at me, right? Sometimes you're going to tell your friends, "Yeah, man, I want to go and be an NBA player. I want to go and be a football player." Man, you can even pass your grades in school. How are you going to go and play for some school? But hold on to that dream. Because the thing is that I represented what they rejected about themselves so many years ago. And what I realized is that their laughter, it was only masking the pain and the heartache that they were feeling about their own inadequacies. They were laughing, but they were laughing because I represented what they wanted to do. And a lot of times what's going to happen is that when you share your dream, you say, "Yeah, I want to go to college and I want to become a lawyer. I want to go to school. I want to become a doctor." Yeah, right. You can't even spell doctor. I want to go to school. I want to be a teacher. I want to be able to pour into I want to be able to give back and pour into my, those that have poured into me. And people are going to laugh. They're going to laugh, but hold on to your dream. Because they're only masking the pain that they are feeling on the inside about their own inadequacies. So I have a question. Let me ask you this. Our contestants, let me ask you something. As you prepare for your presentation, have you felt any type of fear, or have you felt any type of, like, "Oh, I'm scared"? Have you felt that? No? No, you haven't felt that? Okay, you're good. You're good, because I'm going to ask you a question later. Where's our other contestants?
I would say nervousness, but not scared.
Nervousness, but not scared? Okay. What about you? A little bit? Okay. Where's our other? Javon. I'm sorry. Javon.
I feel like it's messing up.
You feel like you might mess up? And what happens when you get on the stage and if you do mess up?
Then it seems like you get nervous and then you start being embarrassed.
Right. But you keep going forward, right? And that's what's going to happen. Sometime in life, we're going to get nervous. Sometimes in life, we're going to mess up. But the one thing that we cannot do is that we cannot give up. We cannot quit. How many of you had that fear that you would be called on? Yeah. How many of you felt that if I called on you that you would be able to come up and do that? Okay, good. And I wanted to say that having that fear, it's okay to have fear. Scientists, we have two types of fears that we are naturally born with. That's the fear of falling and the fear of noise. We are born with those fears. We can't help that. But every other type of fear is a learned behavior. And I'm going to say that again because every other type of fear is a learned behavior. And let me talk about fear because I believe that fear is one of those things that keep us from, from moving forward. We have fear in school. Oh, am I going to make my grades? Oh, I'm being bullied, so I don't want to, go leave school early because I'm being bullied. Fear. Oh, my teachers. Your teachers are there to help you, but yet still you fear that you're not going to get that good grades in order to go on to the next level or the next grade. But when we talk about fear, as Mr. Les Brown put it, he said that fear is one of the most subtle and one of the most destructive forces of all human diseases. Now, why would he say that? Because he understood that fear, it kills dreams. Fear, it kills hope. Hope of going to school, hope of going on to college and playing football and sports and going to work for GE and going to work for some of the other major companies. Fear, it puts people in the hospital. Believe me, there are so many people in the hospital that are there because of the stress of fear. And fear has kept many individuals from doing something that they knew that they were more than capable of doing. See, some of you have the ability to become international best-selling authors. I never thought that I would become an international best-selling author. I had an opportunity to travel over to Africa. I had a chance when I got off the plane and I stepped onto the soil of Africa for the first time. Everything inside of me just wanted to explode because I felt that I was back in the motherland, if you guys know what I'm talking about. I've seen so many stories. I've heard so many stories. I got a chance to go out on the Serengeti. I had an opportunity to see lions and tigers and bears and oh my. I got a chance to see elephants and all those different things that I never thought I would see. But I was over there because of public speaking. I became an international speaker when I spoke in Africa. Some of you are going to outperform me. Some of you are going to outperform Mr. Johnson Smith here, Smith Johnson. Some of you are going to outperform every single person in this room. But let me tell you something. Each and every one of you have the potential to do that. And let me tell you, you're going to be able to walk before kings and queens. You're going to have the potential to walk before presidents and first ladies and dignitaries and ambassadors. Why? Because you have made a conscious decision to take control of your own destiny. But watch this. Not only will you have the potential to walk before them, you will have the potential to be them. I'm going to say that again. Not only are you going to have the opportunity and the potential to walk before presidents and kings and queens and dignitaries and ambassadors, but you're going to have the opportunity to be them if you just stay on the right path. Now, I'm full of stories, right? I want to share this with you. I want to share some things with you because I believe it is very important. And one of the things, because I want you to be able to ignite your power voice. And in order to ignite your power voice, you have to commit to being a servant. Now, being a servant is not bowing down to something that no one else want to do. You have to commit to being a servant. I heard this great story. This young man, he was a well-dressed man, and he was walking through this neighborhood. And this was back in the early years, and this lady of the house, she called this young man over and she said, "Hey, you, come here. I want you to take that old rusted axe over there and I want you to chop some firewood for me." And he walked over, he was very respectful to her. He said, "Yes, ma'am." How many of you would have taken that attitude of chopping a firewood for a stranger that's not of your race, not of your ethnicity, If they call you over and say, hey, can you pick up that old rusted axe over there and chop some firewood, would you do that? Yeah? Okay. Okay, this young man, he said, yes, ma'am. So he takes off his coat. You know, he goes over there and he began to chop this firewood very diligently for this young lady. So he's over there, he got that rusted axe, he's over there, he's chopping the firewood. Boom, boom, boom. By the time he was finished, she comes back around. She said, and now, can you please take some around the back and put some in the fireplace for me? He said, yes, ma'am. So he goes, he takes the firewood, he takes around back, he throws some in the firewood. And just when he was finished, she came back and she said, so how much do I owe you? He said, nothing, ma'am. It was an honor to serve you. So she said, thank you. So he puts his coat back on and, you know, he's getting ready to leave and he's walking back down the street. By then, the maid, she comes out from the back. And she said, ma'am, do you know who that was? And she said, no, who was that? She said, that was the well-known Negro educator, Dr. Booker T. Washington. The lady walks over to the window and she looks out the window and she said, you don't say. She said, go back and get Dr. Booker T. Washington, have him to come over here. I want to sit down and have a conversation with him. So the maid, she go out, she get Dr. Booker T. Washington, he comes back in. They sit down there, they having coffee and tea and, you know, just having a great time. But because Dr. Booker T. Washington was being a servant, he had a chance to sit down and talk with her and tell her about his dreams, his goals, his vision of starting an institution of higher learning for people of color. But not only for people of color, but for all races. Now, this lady, because she was so moved by Dr. Booker T. Washington's service, until she contributed millions of dollars to his organization of creating a higher learning institution for African Americans. And that institution is called Tuskegee Institute, and I'm sure you have heard of it because it is still standing there today. Now, what if Dr. Booker T. Washington would have said, oh, no, I'm not doing that? Then Dr. Booker T. Washington, he would have had to find some other source on starting that institution. Now, I'm not saying that it would not have happened, but he would have needed to find some other source of starting that institution. But I'm a believer that what goes in is what comes out. I want you to take that to heart. What goes in is what comes out. When you study your grades, when you go and your teacher say, we have a history exam, what goes in is what comes out. When your professor, your teacher tells you that you're going to have a math exam, what goes in is what comes out. When your professor or your teacher say, hey, we're going to have a science exam, what goes in is what comes out. When your teacher tells you that you're going to have an exam in physics or proportional whatever, what goes in is what? Exactly. So what goes in is what comes out. And one of the things that Toastmasters does, and I want to share a little bit with you about Toastmasters. The reason that I came to Toastmasters, and you're not going to believe it, the reason I joined Toastmasters is because I had a stuttering problem. I look at myself, I studied for 38 years. From the age of 8 years old on up until the age I was 47 years old. And I'm 56 now. I know that 56 years old. I studied for over 38 years until I joined Toastmasters. I was searching for a way to overcome my stuttering. And I understood it was nervousness. But once I found a solution for my problem, I was able, and now some people tell me now, we can't shut you up. Because what? What goes in is what comes out. Exactly. So when I came to Toastmasters, I was so nervous. And this was back in 2014 when I came to Toastmasters. And I came there and I saw some dynamic presentations. I took part in table topics, which some of you had a chance to experience today. And I had evaluators that was evaluating me to tell me what I was doing and how I can improve. So, okay, great. When I left that meeting that night, I felt liberated because I was like, wow, you mean all these years that I did not have to feel stupid? I did not have to feel embarrassed because I stuttered? And I watched everyone as they went back to their respective cities, their towns and their homes. And I sat there and I just said, wow, I had an awakening. And then I had a chance to meet my mentor, Mr. Les Brown, who spoke into me and he said, Donald, he said, you have a voice and you must exercise that voice. So I began to train with him. And one of the things that I learned is this, is that the reason that each and every one of you are here is because you are uncommon. And I'm going to go over a quote that he did and he gave at the Georgia Dome before 80,000 people. But as Mr. Les Brown stood there and he began to pour into me as I'm pouring into you. And he said that the reason that each and every one of you are here is because you are uncommon. And then he gave this analogy, and it's called the entrepreneurial creed. And I'm going to recite that for you right now, and then we're going to wrap it up. Mr. Les Brown stood there and he said, I choose not to be a common man. He said, it is my right to be uncommon if I can. He said that I seek opportunities and not security. He said that I do not wish to just be a kept citizen, humble and dull by having the state look after me. No. He said that I want to take the calculated risk to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. He said that I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment, the stale calm of utopia. He said that I will never cower before the master, nor will I bend between his dread. He said that it is my heritage and my privilege to stand proud and erect and say boldly before God that with God's help, this I have done. What goes in? Thank you.